Does it show up properly?
Hello, everybody. Yes, I think we're doing good. Sherry, how you doing this morning?
I'm good. A little warmer than you are.
Yeah, I know. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world when you're catching this live stream, even if you're catching it on the replay. Sherry and I are coming to you from the U.S., 2 different states. Sherry is in Florida right now. I am in Colorado right now, where we just got over 2 feet of snow last night. So we were totally dumped on all day. Shut up. I know.
We're not.
So you may hear a plow in the background because we have no choice but to plow out at this moment in time. So Sherry and I are jumping on today to say hi to everybody, and we'll see if anybody jumps on with us live. I don't see anybody at the moment, but we always give it a minute or two, right, Sherry? Because
Facebook takes a while to let everybody know.
It takes a couple minutes to let everybody know, and then it takes a couple minutes for everybody to go, oh, time to jump on. And we have 2 people watching us. Lisa, I recognize your picture right away. And who else do we have? Karen. Lisa and Karen, how you guys doing? It is great Carrie. It is great to see you guys. Sherry and I are here today just to answer any questions. We're going to have a Q&A about animal communication, pet behaviors, animal Reiki, anything that's on your minds we would like to go ahead and address.
I've got some that people put in the post and messaged me with after our Facebook Live last Saturday, and I think you've got a couple of questions. So while we wait for people to post some questions, if they want to, let's go ahead and ask and answer them. So what do you have?
Sure. Okay, the main question that I have, both of my questions actually, had to do with pets who have already passed over. The first one is from a woman who feels that her deceased dog is still with her. And is that possible that she still feels her animal to be with her? Sherry, what do you think about that?
Absolutely. There's
it's an easy one.
That's an easy one. Absolutely. And you'll see my cat that is with one of my 6 that's here right now with me has decided she wants to participate in this. This is Lila. If you see any more than her tail, there's her face. There's no doubt about it. And it usually comforts people to know that they're around, but it's just up to us to pay attention because I know for me as an animal communicator, I see things, I hear things, I feel things, I get downloads of knowing of things. You'll watch what happens around you. Maybe some of the little nuances or behavior patterns that you had with your animal, it may start showing up. But I would say unequivocally, yes. And it's then just up to us to pay attention.
And Sherry, you said something really important, I think, that we should probably clarify. Sherry and I both practice animal Reiki as well as animal communication. And everybody who does practice this kind of receives information in a different way. I also receive when I share animal Reiki, I receive blocks of thought. That is the best way that I can describe it. Blocks of knowing from the animal with whom I'm communicating, and sometimes with animals with whom I'm not communicating. My husband's going to try to come in the door now. Oh, okay. He saw that I was going live and he walked away. Good for him. He's stuck out in the snow.
Oh, poor guy.
That's okay. If you guys hear some noise.
That's the beauty of it.
We got to live with it. When you get 2 feet of snow, I'm not going to make the guy stand outside and freeze, but he'll be fine. Anyway, we receive information in different ways. I receive blocks of thought from the animals with whom I communicate. And I truly believe that everybody to some degree has this capacity to communicate with their animal, past or present. Because many people, I'd say 100% of people, I did a poll once, 100% of people talk to their dogs or talk to their cat out loud. But do we ever really take the time to listen? And I think what Sherry and I have really done is practice what it means to listen to our animals. Yep. And they will communicate to you.
Yep. They'll to separate out Reiki and animal communication, just like you were starting to do there, Elaine. When I'm offering Reiki, I will oftentimes get communications, but it's not a prerequisite. It's not part of it. Not everybody pays attention. Not everybody gets that. It's fine. Reiki will work whether you get the communication or not.
Correct.
Then and especially since I've been paying attention to actively practicing tuning into, I will very often get pictures. So it's like I said, see things. The animal will give me pictures, and it's not up to me. Like if I'm working with somebody else and their animal, it's not up to me to make sense of it. In fact, it's best if I don't, because then I'm laying my stuff on it. It's best for me just to communicate either the words I see, the words I hear, the pictures I get, the download that I get, the feeling I do feel. Like if I body map and the animal allows me to feel their body, exactly what I'm getting and communicate. It's up to them to make sense of it or to tell me it makes no sense. And then I go back to the animal and get clarification. So I hope that helps. That's a little bit more than what you asked in terms of animals being around after they've passed. But I would say yes, indeed, positively, unequivocally. I've got a couple of my animals that have passed that are my helper animals now.
Yep, absolutely. And then there was one other question along the same line, so I might as well just go ahead and answer that at the same time. And that question was, this was from a woman who I work with at the Humane Society, and she believes that she wants to have clarification. Can her other animals sense her pets who have passed?
Oh, unequivocally.
I think that our animals are so tuned in. They are more tuned in than we are.
Yes.
And if you don't doubt it for a second.
Yeah.
Your pets are not in tune with the other animals with whom they shared their lives too.
And they may not have even shared, like my animals, my 6 cats that are around right now, had no physical contact with a couple of mine that have passed that are around from time to time. But they know it. Sometimes they're sitting looking at things. Sometimes, you'll see them doing all kinds of things that you're like, what the heck are they looking at? Or who are they talking to? Or,
Exactly.
But it's generally telepathic. I keep leaning over because my cat's down here rubbing all over me. But yes, you said everyone has this ability. We all do communicate telepathically. Now, have you ever noticed that actually, I'll invite you to notice your animal's reaction to you physically, if something's going on with you, or your reaction when you go into a room to the other people that are in there before you ever open your mouth or talk to anybody. You're picking up on all kinds of things. And that, if you'll just start paying attention to that, you can start paying attention to that with your animals. And I consciously take it. One thing that has to happen is they've got to stop being property, and they've got to stop being your kids to manage. They're individual sentient beings. And when you can start thinking and feeling and interacting with them as individual sentient beings that are perfectly capable of communicating, having a life purpose, having their own opinions, their own philosophies. Let me tell you, I've got some very opinionated animals, and that's not an accident. It's not an accident, right? But if you could, I'm taking time to really just be with each of my animals each day. Now I have some rituals where we do that. Like we've got 2 acres, and I walk with my cats. They've all got different ways of who they want to walk with. It used to be, be all in a line, but they are all coming to a balance with each other. And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. So does that help? I mean, did I go too long? Well, I'll just stop.
No, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So why don't you take on one of the questions that you got?
Okay, let me. I had one where it said, "I love my dog. I'm uncomfortable with it humping my leg. How do I communicate with him to stop?" I'll let you start with that, Elaine, and then I'll give my 2 cents worth.
Okay, so in that situation, so we have a dog who is having a behavior that we aren't liking. There's a behavior going on that we don't like. And I think what we really need to do in that situation is quiet, not at the time that it's necessarily happening, but at another time, quiet your mind, open a space to invite your animal to join you and ask what the problem is. There's usually some root cause. So either there's something going on that is the animal is reacting to, your dog is reacting to it. It could simply be the fact that your dog is horny.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a simple explanation. Now, Sherry and I follow a practice called let animals lead. And let animals lead simply means that we don't try to control. We do not try to change. We simply accept the animal for who they are. And when the situation arises, we ask if there's something we can do to help alleviate it, or explain to them that it's a bothersome behavior, and is there a way that we can stop it.
Well, I did a little homework. I don't
Okay.
have dogs. I have had dogs in my life at times, so I definitely know what she's talking about. And they said it's pretty normal for dogs, especially with the humans that they're attached to hump their leg. So there could be all kinds of things going on. But you might get some behavioral support. You could also Google it on that basis. So it is a behavior, and it is behavioral, and it's pretty normal for dogs. My understanding, as I said, I've got cats, and I've had dogs, but not recently. The other part of it is just like Elaine said, just talk to them. Just say, I understand this is something. What can we do? I'm uncomfortable with it, especially when I've got guests and family. They do get it. See a picture, not of what you don't want. And this is true in any case of communicating with your animals, but see a picture of what you do want. That my animal, Christopher, now I'm going to segue into behavioral because I've got several behavioral questions. My cat, Christopher, really was the catalyst, and still is. He pushes the hell out of me in terms of going into the next thing, but he's the one that got me really seeking adamantly first behavioral help, and then animal communication help. And it led me to the classes, a year of working with finding the soul level animal contract that I had with him, which made a huge difference. You want to have some personal growth and development, start really digging a little bit deeper than the common everyday conversation, but that's kind of true in any relationship. And then it led me to taking the classes and really getting into what it is I'm very passionate about. I'm grateful to him. He's pushing me again now with some other things, but it really is just spending some time and having a conversation. This one, to me, you could go on the level of negotiation, meaning that's one level. You want to spend a little more time with it, go into finding out what it's all about, what's the life lesson, because there's a lesson there. So neither one of those are wrong, and it's just a matter of how deep you want to go with that communication. And if you don't feel confident, do it yourself. Get an animal communicator who'll do it, which also brings me
there you go.
to it doesn't have to be in person. I had somebody communicate, and she's not wrong. It's fine, and she prefers to have people come in person. Fine. Remember, we're talking about energy for Reiki or animal communication, and it does not require us to be in person. I like to be in person for animal Reiki. It's not required, and I do a lot of distance Reiki, and all but maybe 1% of animal communication sessions that I have are over the phone.
Yep. And then what I do, Sherry, is like this. I do a Facebook video call, so that especially if it's an animal that I'm getting to meet for the very first time. And then, and it works. And it absolutely, you're so right. Energy does not know geography. Energy does not need to be in the same room. We connect to that energy, and yes, distance. Sometimes I have my most profound sessions when I'm practicing distance Reiki.
Yeah. We've got a comment. We've got a comment. You have the control of it, I believe. So
let's see. Comment. How can I see the comment? I can see that we have it, but I can't see it.
It's just a good morning, ladies. Hi, Carrie. Carrie is saying hello.
Hello, Carrie.
All right.
We have two Carries joining us now, and Sherry, we have Lisa on too. Do you remember Lisa from?
Of course, I said hello to her. I remember Lisa. Hi, Lisa. All right, I have another one that said, and I don't know if she meant fleas, F-E-L-E-A-S, or she meant fleas, F-L-E-E-S. So if the person was asking about how to communicate with your dog with fleas, that led me to believe with fleas, I've talked to your vet. If it's fleeing, like running away or running out the door, that's a whole nother thing. And I would say it's animal communication, possibly animal Reiki, but It's a conversation. It's a behavioral thing. I don't know. And without talking to your dog, that if it's fleas, go get some treatment for it.
Yeah, and we can't, I mean, there are some things, honestly, when we talk about animal communication and sentient beings, I don't know how to say it any other way than to say it, that I've had a conversation with a praying mantis. I mean, there are some insects that you can, and spiders, and you can actually make that same type of energetic connection. I haven't ever tried it with a flea.
I haven't either. So I haven't either. Doesn't mean we can't.
Right.
But the fleas are doing what the fleas do.
They do. It's natural. Exactly.
If that's what it's about, if it's about your dog running or running away from you or running out the door, then that's a whole nother conversation. And again, it's the level of everyday conversation and negotiation, so it stops for their safety. Or then it's also, if it's persistent, what's the soul level contract? Because there is one. And you can go look up these things. There's my first teacher, Danielle McKinnon, Animal Lessons and Soul Level Contracts. If you go get those books, you could actually just, with the animal lessons, follow that along if you don't want to hire somebody else. We'll be doing some other things and some classes and following along some of these lessons. So look for them, which is, I got this question over and over again. What are some of the other products? So I offer animal communication. Karen Bowie says it works on flies as well. Yes, it does. Flies, roaches, fleas, everything else. So anyway, I offer animal communication, animal Reiki, also teach people animal Reiki, which Elaine and I have a class, and also setting up a community where there's some freebie stuff. We're setting up a community where you can also take other classes like we had in person. I've done Introduction to Animal Reiki, 5 powerful meditations to heal your animals. Elaine's capable of doing it. She does the same stuff. She's getting into doing humans. I'm not interested. She is. Let's see what other, there's a lot coming. So if you pay attention and follow us, you'll see it. Some free, some charge, some online, and a member community. And if you're a practitioner, we're setting up a business support community also for being in business.
I'm glad you brought that up. And there, just to clarify, that we are we're trying to offer as much value as we can when we do these live streams. So we come together, we like to answer questions, we like to provide information. But there are classes you can take. If this really does interest you, reach out to us. We offer all levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. And that business module, I'm so proud of that, Sherry. For those of you who are already Reiki practitioners who maybe want to add, or animal communicators, and you really want to make this a business for yourself, we teach you what it takes to do this.
We've got a community coming up, and we're also adding it to level 2.
I'm on a live stream, hon, so just, you come in, just.
Yeah. We work at home. That's our passion, and that's the beauty of it.
He needs my keys, so hang tight. All
right, go ahead and do that. I'll talk a little bit more about this. I'm in Florida, so will classes be online? I'm in Florida also, Julie. Yes, we'll have some things online, but we've also, if you're wanting to, let me just tell you how this works. Introduction to Animal Reiki and 5 powerful meditations and some of the other things is for anybody. I just taught that over at my vets here in DeLand, and we had a cross section of people, including the people that work there at the vets that took that, and some practices for them to do, all the way to, well, we've got level 1, which is the basics. This would really be for anybody. If you're looking to do this as a business, you start with this. You can do any of the other introductory stuff too. But we've got that coming up in St. Augustine, February 9th and 10th. So just let us know. Registermetoday.com is how you would register and hold yourself a spot. But Julie, I don't know where you are.
All that stuff for you, so you don't have to remember.
Yeah, you don't have to remember. And Julie, I don't know where you are in Florida. If you could let me know, I can be in communication with you. And it's pretty easy to get to most all these things. So what else? What else, Elaine? Do you have any other questions?
I did
That
not
one
have.
that said, "How do you know what your animal's trying to communicate?" I think we've talked about that throughout the day, but the best thing I can say is there's two things. Hi, Stacy. Two things is experience an animal communication session. I would encourage that. And the other is stay in touch and start taking some basic classes with us, because you can do this on your own. You just got to learn to pay attention.
Right.
Kids learn to talk. You can learn this.
Absolutely. This is Sherry and I. This is our third time, I think, right? Going live on this.
Yeah.
And it's just so easy to communicate this information. We're very comfortable doing it. I love doing this with you, Sherry. I have a great time.
Yeah.
I love some of the questions. Okay, so we have another question. Stacy, who just joined us. So Carrie's jumping off to feed the donkeys. Carrie's in Colorado with me where it's snowing. And Stacy is in the UK. And Stacy would love to know if Humphrey comes through to me. So I know Stacy. She's a personal friend of mine in the UK. Her cat, who I do not know, who I had not known before he passed, Humphrey. And Stacy, you and I will have to chat, because yes, absolutely 100%. We can get Humphrey not just to come through to me, but to come through to you.
Yeah.
There is definitely, you can open that. And maybe we should even mention this. During one of our trainings, we train animals. Animal Reiki and animal communication is meditation based.
Yes.
And one of the meditations that we teach is the bridge. And we go into a meditation and imagine opening that bridge. I call it the rainbow bridge is real. It is opening a bridge between your heart to your animal, past or present, and allowing them to come into your heart and join you. And yes, you can absolutely make the most beautiful connections with your animals who have passed.
Yeah. I'm going back to Julie. She says she's in Deltona. Julie, I'm in DeLand, and yes, I offer my services through Florida Wild Veterinary Hospital. In fact, when we're done here, I'm going back over we had one of our rescues. I've been working a lot with the rescues there, and then anybody that's a client there who wants to hire, you just ask them how to do it, and we book it, and we either book it on site there at the vet, or we do it long distance, or I come to your house. So I'm going right after this to check on one of our rescues that had to have an operation yesterday, and I was there in the operating room for 3 hours. So offering Reiki, that was the before, the during. We noticed they went in for one thing, something else had to be done, so I stayed for that, and then the after until she was awake and well, and offered her Reiki distance last night. I'm going back today. So we're not very far, and Julie, if it's something you're interested in, message me and we can take a look at. And I offered, in fact, the introduction to animal Reiki right at Florida Wild, and I'll be going back there and be also training their staff.
Great. And we do the same thing in Colorado. So in Colorado, it's so cool. Actually, Sherry, I have to share, when I was sharing Reiki with an animal who was at the veterinarian for a dental. Yeah. And to have that animal recognize me as soon as she came out of her anesthesia, and to come to me and want to be held and comforted by me, it's a really cool thing. So I do the same thing in Colorado. I work with a veterinarian the before, during, and after makes the experience for your pet so much more. It makes your pet so much more comforted and easier to recover as well.
Absolutely. Now, yeah, this animal started with having to get something out of a very small mass out of her ear, and she wasn't able to hear. She had been surrendered because her mom died and her dad was going into a nursing home, and she's 11. When they went in, they saw an open root canal, so they also did dental right after. Mm-hmm. So, it's awesome. I mean, yeah. I don't know that I probably guessing that you're going to say the same thing, and Lisa will say the same thing. It blows me away. I just follow the instructions of what I got trained in and just watch. And it blows me away all the time. I mean, you can be skeptical, you can be anything. It doesn't really matter, because if you actually just follow the instructions of what you get trained in and do your practice, and the precepts will honestly make a huge difference. But just watch what happens with the animals. These rescues, they stop being totally afraid. They engage. Their personalities start coming out. They get adopted. They stay adopted.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the other thing. When you formally learn this, if you do decide to go through training with us, both Sherry and I work at a humane society. I volunteer at a humane society. I think you do too, Sherry. And to volunteer at the humane society to reduce the stress level of the pets there, that helps them become more adoptable. It's such a celebration the day that they can be adopted. I know, it's so awesome. I've posted pictures of my 2 pit bulls that were at the rescue for 9 months.
Oh my God.
And I the one day I just showed up there out of the blue and said, would you mind if I practice Reiki? They've both been adopted. It is just the most amazing experience to be able to change the life of an animal in that way.
And also, if a lot of people surrender or rehome animals where there's behavioral issues, and I would just say to any of them, give Reiki and animal communication a try before doing that. Behaviors of the animals make perfect sense to them, and they may not make sense to us. Just like the dog humping the leg makes perfect sense to that dog.
Mm-hmm.
It may not make sense, or even if it makes sense, we may not like it. But Reiki and animal communication can make a huge difference before any animal is surrendered or rehomed. Because some other time, I can go through each and every one, and 2 of them in particular are challenges that are in my household. And if you heard the stories, I'll be happy to share them. I'll be sharing more and more on my own page. But I know from experience with my own animals and with about, oh God, I don't know how many last year, 30 or 40 animals last year with rescue. And when I say that's at Florida Wild, rescue is not advertised, because I'm not going to put it out there because they don't advertise as a rescue, but they will never turn an animal away. And they require that if an animal's going to be rehomed after they've been adopted, they have to come back there. So, all right.
I think that's it for questions. Hey, I'm going to lean over real quick because I got somebody at my feet who wants to say hello.
Okay.
Come here, baby. It's okay. You can come up. He loves to give kisses. He's my baby. So this is my foundling. This is Winston, who now I live at the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere. There's no way to get to me. It's very remote. But this guy somehow ended up on our property. He was not expected to live through the night that I found him, and that was 9 months ago. And here he is. I know, and he was not microchipped. He was not wearing a collar. We posted him on every possible website. I went to every rescue in the region, and nobody ever claimed him. He's totally deaf. He's a special needs puppy, but he's my little sweetheart, and he loves to sit with me.
Well, he might have been dumped by somebody, which people do, which is to me totally cruel.
He might have been dumped, but he found his way to me, and I attribute that to animal communication too. He knew right where to come. Yep.
Yeah, and he's very appreciative. He's licking your face like crazy.
Yep.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you. We'll post some information in our feeds about some of the things we talked about. And if you can always message us. And Julie, Julie Finelli, I hope I run across you. You're right nearby me. So, and if you go to Florida Wild, you apparently know them. So we should run into each other somehow or another. But any of you guys, get in touch with us.
Reach out to us.
Lisa, it's nice to see you. Thanks for joining. And
thank you, everybody, for joining. All right. Have a great day, everybody. See you later. Bye, Sherry.
Bye.
Let's see. End broadcast. Here we go.